Hello everyone and welcome to Knowing Buffy. Very funny.
I see what you did there.
Did you see what I did there? I changed the name Who to Buffy.
I know.
This is something a little bit different from us. We've just spent an hour and a half talking about K9.
Jesus.
So now we're going to talk about a different programme altogether.
Sort of,
in a way.
We have a tenuous link.
A tenuous little link here. So I said to Ben, basically, for context listeners, Ben is moving on to pastures new soon. He'll be moving across the road, so to speak.
But we won't be able to use
this
our
lovely studio. This will be the final episode we're recording in this studio space.
As far as we're maybe we will. I don't know.
This is the end of an era, so to speak. So we were like, let's talk about an episode that's relatively significant to kind of mark this moment. And we basically, I just said, well, we've not talked about Rose. No one's talked about Rose this year.
No.
At all.
It's not like it's a 20th anniversary of anything or nothing's happened in the show.
No one's paid attention to this episode. No. So I sort of said, well, maybe we should
Underrated.
Maybe let's talk about Rose and be different.
Yeah.
But we've been both getting into a different show altogether recently
I asked
as well.
Miles, is this just an excuse to talk about both of our most recent hyperfixations?
And it absolutely is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
There's no way of hiding it. We're also going to be tying this into talking a bit about Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yes.
So I started getting into this show probably a bit before you.
I started watching it around Christmas.
Yeah.
But then I took a break from watching it for a while.
I kind of went on and off maybe a year or so ago.
Yeah.
I started with season 1, which is a shorter series.
It is. It's like a half series.
Yeah. And then stepped away from it a bit, watched series 2 and properly got hooked back in, and I'm kind of on the train. I still haven't finished it.
No, I'm on series 5. I've just started series 5.
So have you watched Buffy versus Dracula?
I have.
Sick. I am midway through series 7, so I'm nearly at the end. I'm at that point, when you've got a series you love and you're like,
you don't want to finish it.
I don't want to, so I'm kind of slowing down because I know I've not got much left.
Have you watched any of Angel?
So I did.
I've not watched any of Angel yet. So
for context, listeners, to give a Doctor Who equivalent, Angel is basically Buffy's Torchwood.
Yes.
Very much so. Angel started the same time as, it wouldn't be a Knowing Who episode without best.
No, but I always forget to turn off.
Angel started in tandem with Buffy season 4.
Yes.
And it kind of went episode of Buffy and then later that night episode of Angel.
Right.
So when I started watching season 4, I was like, oh, well, I'd better start watching Angel as well. And I'd watch an episode, between the two.
I thought about doing that and I couldn't be bothered.
Well, I started doing it and then I was like, I kind of like Angel, but I really love Buffy.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I don't really want to interrupt my Buffy flow with this Angel stuff, even though, as you'll have sort of seen, it kind of ties in a bit.
So occasionally you'll watch an episode of Buffy and they'll start referencing a load of stuff that you don't remember them you don't remember happening, and it turns out Buffy was in Angel last week.
And it's more tied in than like Torchwood was with Doctor Who or Sarah Jane was with Doctor Who.
It's sort of, if you've watched the modern day CW Arrowverse kind of stuff, like the Flash and Arrow and all that kind of thing, every once in a while they'll cross over and they'll reference something that happened on another show. Yeah. And if you don't watch the other show, you just don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And that happens with Buffy and Angel.
Which, it's kind of a pioneering thing for
a lot program, of like we're about to talk about. Buffy did a lot of that pioneering.
It really did. So there's loads to talk. So basically, what I sort of said to Ben was, let's tie in Buffy with Doctor Who and both talk about Rose and the revival, but also talk about how Buffy influenced that. So we're both going to be doing a review of Rose and also episode 1 of Buffy, Welcome to the Hellmouth.
Yeah, and I would say off the bat, explicitly, there isn't much similar between the two episodes.
No.
But the two series, you can see a lot of inspiration taken
Absolutely.
From Buffy. Yeah.
I'm going to put my vampire stake in the ground here and say I think Buffy is the biggest influence on the 2005 revival. Just in terms of...
Almost definitely.
Which culturally, I think it was a big influence
I've
anyway.
Heard a lot. I've heard Russell has said multiple times, I loved Buffy and I've taken a lot from Buffy and put it into Doctor Who. And I never watched Buffy until recently, but even as I started watching Buffy, I didn't really see what he meant. But thinking about it now, I can see where he's
those
coming
things,
from.
yeah.
And also, I've mentioned this to Miles as well, but I don't think he's watched any of these programs that I'm about to mention. But if you watch things like Smallville, which was also on the same channel as Buffy was, and other things from that time, going into Supernatural, and like I just said, the Arrowverse crossover stuff, and all of that era of American TV and Doctor Who sort of came from the structure that Buffy put in place.
Yeah, because Doctor Who, if Doctor Who came back and it was still structured like the classic series was, here's 4 25-minute episodes every week,
shot on a studio.
I mean,
multicam. It wouldn't
obviously both in terms of how it was shot. It's a real shame that Doctor Who couldn't shoot with nice film cameras like Buffy did, and
although the Buffy not revival, although there is a revival coming. I don't know if you've heard this.
There is a revival coming. Yeah.
That's off the topic, but the Buffy remaster apparently is very controversial.
I've seen some of this because I was like the Disney. I've watched this on Disney.
I think it's worse in the first 2 series than as it goes on. I think they get lazier, which makes the remaster better.
And also, you can tell when there's going to be a VFX shot because
the
the quality just goes down so much. There's been a lot of I mean, welcome to the Doctor Who fandom.
I know.
There's all sorts of that going on with collection sets and whatnot as well. So
I think the main idea is that it was originally shot in 3x4, 4x3, not 3x4. Originally shot in 4x3, and then the remaster crops it into 16:9, which means you miss a lot of details from the original shot. Sure. And the framing's a bit funny and everything. Like foreheads get cut off and stuff like that. If you compare that to programs like Star Trek: The Next Generation, which it gets compared to a lot when it comes to the remaster, or Friends. So Friends was originally shot in 3x4 and converted by someone who used to be our boss, was in charge of the conversion.
Amazing.
I don't know if you knew that.
I did not.
I'm not going to name them.
No,
but
tell me afterwards.
I will. They used to work on Friends, and they did the remaster, I think.
I recently worked with someone here who was on the production crew of Angel Series 5.
Oh my God. You'll have to tell me who that is.
Literally, I was halfway through something and he was like, it's when I was in LA working on Angels. Sorry, can we just pause? What you want?
The people we meet is insane. Anyway, I don't know if you... I went all through... I'm very up to... I love overanalyzing TV.
Go for it.
When they did remaster it, on top of the crop, because the quality isn't really lost for the most part until they do a VFX shot, because you can't upscale a digital VFX shot from 1997. But they, instead of keeping that film look with the film grain and stuff, they apply like a smoothing filter over it.
Right.
So everyone's face looks like an Auton,
nice
ironically.
And it's that sort of American gloss, isn't it? Really?
Because that's how it would have looked on 4x3, because cutting it down to 4x3 sort of does that automatically. Whereas a show like Friends or Star Trek: The Next Generation kept the film look.
You can see every crease on Patrick Stewart's face.
Yeah, every single crease and every single film grain. And the film grain is a look that a lot of people like, but I suppose maybe the team who remastered Buffy didn't like it, and they wanted it to look clean, pristine, and HD and more like a digital shot. So they applied a smoothing filter to it. And a lot of people think that's overkill, and that everyone looks too smooth and sort of uncanny valley. To be honest, maybe in Series 1 and 2 that was the case, but now I'm in Series 5, I don't care.
I can see what you mean about Series 1, because watching this
there's
back for this...
major drop in quality.
It's kind of crazy.
Visually,
it really does look like you've done a lot of kind of attempting to touch this up, and you shouldn't have really gone near it.
But then the further I've gotten into it, the less I seem to notice that. So I think they do tone it off. Like I said earlier, I think they got a bit lazy, and that then makes the remaster look better. Yeah. For whatever reason.
Well, aside from all the tech stuff.
Anyway, sorry, we're technical people. We like technical things.
If you're still with us, just in terms of the Buffy kind of influence it had, as I said, I think that it was a massive influence for Russell. Very basically, the 45-minute format is an obvious one. Yeah. That is how telly just worked then. I think it's changed again now.
Before
because
Buffy,
now
that just wasn't the thing.
No, it was a whole new kind of style of, and even though there's obviously ad breaks working into that for the US stuff, it works as a tight form of entertainment. Half an hour is isn't enough. An hour is slightly too long. 45 minutes for an action adventure series is just exactly what you need for that vibe, for sure. So that's obviously one of the main takeaways. We touched on it briefly before, the whole spin-off thing, how that can be engineered. Russell has obviously taken that and gone, look how well that sort of darker version works.
But still in the same world.
It's still in the same world.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Obviously, the Torchwood was the first one they had, and then Sarah Jane was kind of an extension of that, but the other way around.
Yeah.
The kind of monster a week format that Buffy does. It pioneers that kind of, and I mean, I know that the X-Files, I don't know when that was done. I've not seen the X-Files.
It's a similar time. I don't know exactly
It's
when.
of that kind of cult TV
And also,
thing.
like, with Star Trek as well, you get sort of Monster of the Week kind of vibes sometimes, but not every episode would be like that, and you'd often get recurring bad guys. But Buffy is almost always a new bad guy every episode.
Monster a week, but then also that whole ongoing storyline, story arc thing.
Woven in the background.
Yeah. And the whole big bad formula. Like, Buffy will have the Master and
the Master. I forgot his name was the Master.
I know.
When you're looking at it in a way to compare it to Doctor Who, I thought, oh my god,
the Nehru suit and the sort of the clean cut look. It's literally like Delgado but with fangs, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole kind of, we've got a big central villain for this series. We'll have a load of little side Monster of the Week things, but ultimately we're driving towards this. Bad Wolf or this Harold Saxon or whatever
Torchwood
it is.
Yeah,
exactly. So obviously who's a bit less interconnected than Buffy is. Buffy is
because of the nature of it, because Doctor Who obviously jumps around the universe and time, and you can't have every single person working for the same
precisely.
boss,
but certainly the new series of Doctor Who is more interlinked than the classic series ever was.
Yes,
aside from your unit and your kind of recurring elements, the new series of Doctor Who, that series 1, we go back to the Powell estate so much. I mean, Big Finish have done it for the recent Rose and the Ninth Doctor thing. It's that ongoing kind of thing of bringing it back to home whilst also incorporating the whole keep watching because there's something big coming later on in this series to keep that hook going. On a sort of a smaller level, you've got the quippy dialogue as well.
So there's a lot of that.
That's kind of a big thing in Buffy that Doctor Who goes, I will have some of that.
When I was watching Rose this morning, I suddenly, and I've watched Rose loads of times,
100%.
and I had watched Welcome to the Hellmouth, which is the first episode of Buffy, for those who don't know. I've seen that once before. There's a lot of that which I've forgotten. There's a lot of stuff that I originally thought was completely unexplained, is explained, and I just forgot it was. But you can tell that the tone, the sort of almost campy tone, which I thought was Russell's trademark, is actually in the Buffy.
Pretty much,
the Buffy. It's in Buffy.
Yeah.
And the dynamic between Angel and Buffy is often compared to Nine and Rose, which I've never thought about. And then I suddenly saw Angel in the first episode of Buffy, and I thought, oh yeah, that is basically Christopher Eccleston.
Like dark, I mean, at some points, I swear Angel wears like a leather jacket and things. It's like, you've got a dark, brooding figure who's sort of
mysterious, who hasn't explained who he is,
who has got a murky past that he wants to kind of redeem himself from. And then you've got this blonde, feisty teenager who falls in love with this immortal from another world. It's a real, I mean, that moment in School Reunion of Rose and
obviously
the Doctor.
In School Reunion there's a cast member who is in both series,
totally
and I'm sure that was Russell going, I love Buffy, I'm going to bring him in.
And who also Anthony Head voicing Confidential for 3 or 4 years.
I'm sure
that
was deliberate. I'm sure he brought him in because of how much he seems to have enjoyed Buffy. When I first started watching Buffy, I couldn't not see, I can't remember the character's name in School Reunion. The headmaster, Mr. Finch. I couldn't not see Mr. Finch.
I know, yeah.
And
it's
now,
so weird now it's totally
all I
see
is Giles.
Yeah, you'll watch that and you'll be like, Giles, why are you being so mean?
Giles is possibly my favourite character in the whole series.
Absolutely. And he's very
possibly
much...
because I'm British, and he's so British.
He's so British. He hates
over
Americans.
The top
it's
British.
just,
it's
it's
amazing.
fantastic. He's very much the kind of... He's the Doctor, of Buffy.
He's very Doctor-y.
Brains over brawn,
and
know?
he even dresses, he dresses a bit like 11, I suppose, but he dresses sort of, if
Tweed
you think of the Doctor,
yeah.
he sort of does dress like the Doctor
he
does.
dresses as a typical Brit, really.
As
it's
what
the
Americans think.
view of
Americans
the
in the 80s and 90s thought British people
This is a British person, yeah.
And I think, this is going slightly off topic, but when I first watched Buffy, I was watching it with my dad, who'd also never seen it, because it was Christmas and we were all home and we were all watching the TV, and I was like, I'm going to put Buffy on because I've never seen it. So me and my dad were just watching Buffy constantly, and I turned and I said, do you think he's just made alterations to the script to British it up? And because there's some things Giles says which I can't imagine American writers would even know.
Yeah.
And I can't quote anything. I don't have anything off the top of my head.
But there's certain words that
he says something that's so sort of stupidly British that I don't think an American could grasp.
Yeah.
And I think he just puts that in and they roll with it. And I just love it. I just love how they treat Giles.
Lots of tea drinking. I think that's a nice draw for us British viewers because it's like there's a sense of home.
Later on, I got to the part that Miles asked if I'd gotten to. Should I spoil his hobby that he has later in the series?
Go on. I mean, look, if you haven't seen Buffy, go and watch it. Absolutely.
This is, I think, series 4. This happens.
Yeah, we'll try not to spoil too much of what happens later on.
They go looking for him, and he's just playing guitar, and he's so grungy, but he's also kind of Nirvana. But if it was also Oasis, it's really weird and also awkwardly British. And I love it.
Yeah, we'll end up just talking about Buffy full on if we're not careful. But just as a character, I think he's fantastic.
Giles is lovely.
He's not what typically would have been done of that adult figure in the arrangement of always being right. He's always the voice of reason. Like, he makes mistakes.
He's often wrong.
He'll get drunk sometimes. He's not perfect, but I think that that's a character very much like Russell does with his characters. Rose is selfish. She is bitchy, just like normal teenagers, and that's just like Buffy as well. Rose is created in that mold of Buffy. She's the kind of everyday teenager that people think of as kind of they kind of think of them like on the surface you look like a sort of slow and sort of vapid person, but then they get thrust into this unbelievable otherworldly situation, and then you see how strong and resourceful a woman that they are.
Have you watched the Buffy movie? Which this was all originally based on a movie that was made by the same people, and it's sort of loosely the same canon but different. And I originally thought that there was a lot of stuff that they just assume you've seen the movie, because I think in the first episode
she's already a Slayer.
Yeah, I think the idea is originally it's the same character, and then I think stuff down the line gets changed, and it's a different character in the end, and it's a different continuity. But there's a lot of stuff that I originally thought wasn't explained because it was in that original movie. But no, I don't think there's like Giles turns up, and I'm thinking I originally thought how did Giles know? Was he just happened to be in Sunnydale? Was he there? No, he came to
specifically.
Meet Buffy.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, I just went on a bit of a tangent.
Well, in that case, let's talk about Welcome to the Hellmouth to start off.
Yeah.
The Buff, because that came in 1997. It's not like this and Rose don't have any sort of direct similarities whatsoever, really. This is a very different thing, because here, in a more general sense, this is doing something very different to Rose. This is setting up an entirely new show, whereas Rose, that film aside, whereas Rose is kind of reintroducing an old show and establishing itself for a new audience. They're doing very different things. So as a result, Buffy is placed firmly at the center of this because obviously she's the main character, and we need to get to know her because she's our protagonist. Whereas Rose, she's our companion and secondary character, but equally is placed at the center of Rose, even though our protagonist is placed on the outskirts. It's kind of it's kind of a weird thing, and it's both similar and also different in that you've got this very similar character at the center of both of these episodes, but one of them is the protagonist and one of them is our secondary figure to kind of, it's like if you put Xander and Willow at the center of, that's going to sound so British, isn't it? Xander.
Xander.
It's like if you put him and Willow at the center of the Buffy opener and saw her through their eyes. By contrast, you've got Rose seeing the Doctor, and we're seeing that through her eyes, I suppose.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it kind of adds that sense of mystery and anticipation of who is this character for Rose, whereas for Buffy it's like, no, we need to know who this character is because this is who we're following.
Our introduction to this person.
And it's very bold. Like from the off, you've got that classic scene of two kids sneaking into school out after dark.
Dexter's girlfriend, if you've ever watched Dexter.
No, there we go.
So Dexter, the serial killer TV show, his girlfriend is also playing this vampire lady.
Well, that's the great twist. In the same way as in Rose, you've got the moment with the Mickey Orton head and the man screams at the table.
Mm-hmm.
In the same way of this Buffy scene, very typically it's like, oh, she better get out of there. That guy's a vampire. Oh no, she's the vampire. From the off, it's like, no, this is going to do something different.
Mm-hmm. Again.
Maybe this is more similar than I was making it out to be, actually. There's a lot of kind of like bold moves of being like, this ain't your typical kind of, this isn't what you're expecting it to be.
There's a character in this that is very similar to a character in Torchwood. Do you know where I'm going to go with this?
Well, I would have said Spike, but
given
that he pops up a lot later, that's obviously not the case.
No. So there is a character in this episode, I think his name is Jesse.
Yes.
And he is Xander's best friend.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know if you caught this. And he's introduced like a main character.
Yeah.
He's gonna be one of the main characters. He's gonna be Buffy's friend, and he's Xander's friend, and he's part of the group that Xander and Willow are a part of before they meet Buffy.
Mm-hmm.
And it later turns out in part 2 of this episode, which I haven't actually rewatched.
Yeah.
He actually is killed and turned into a vampire. Mm-hmm. And he's no longer part of the team. And I think they'd then kill him at the end of the story.
They kill him straight away.
They kill him straight away.
I think there was even talks to put him in the title sequence.
Yes.
A bit like
so in
Torchwood,
they do the same thing. I can't remember the
Susie.
Susie, yeah. So Susie's a member of the Torchwood team. Mm-hmm. She's in all the promo, I think, all the cast pictures. She was announced as a main cast member and all of that. Turns out she dies in the first episode and ends up being a bad guy. And I think Russell must have pinched that.
Well, it's like the original kind of thing was Psycho, where the main actress in that was, she's the poster character. She gets killed halfway through. Spoiler alert for a
I didn't know that.
70-old film. So that is. I didn't even make that connection as well.
Because I know we're comparing it to Rose, but I just suddenly realised, oh, that's Torchwood. That's exactly what they do. It's
interesting because there's a lot of parallels between Doctor Who and Torchwood and Buffy and Angel, but equally Buffy and Torchwood have a lot of similarities as well.
Because Buffy has that sort of more. It's not an adult show. It's not an 18+ show in any regard like Torchwood is, but it does have more of a
darker themes,
darker tone and theme. Because obviously there's blood-sucking vampires in it and monsters and demons, which is very
James
Torchwood.
Masters doing a
James Masters is in it as well. Yeah, he supports Man United.
Really?
That's later. The character of Spike supports Man United.
I totally forgot that.
There's a part where this is way later down the line, where he says, God, and United are playing well, and that makes me happy, or something like that.
I mean, Doctor Who even gets referenced at one point later down the line. You've got that to look forward to.
That's
good. There is a lot of kind of Torchwoody kind of similarities. I mean, the whole Hellmouth and the Rift, like they're basically one and the same.
It's the same idea.
Here's a thing that things both come out of and also flock to.
Even K9, our last episode, takes from that.
Even K9
with the space-time.
I did. What was wormhole.
We off air we did check manipulator, space-time manipulator. We checked what it was actually called.
Yeah,
and that is also carried through to other shows like Smallville. And I know you've.
Is that similar?
Yeah.
Thing,
so in
right,
Smallville they have the kryptonite, which gives people powers, and every week the same kryptonite will give someone else a new power. Right. In a similar vein to the Hellmouth producing a new bad guy every week. It's the same. That's it spawned that whole genre.
Even Hellmouth even gets referenced in Class, I think.
Does it?
I think in that first episode because there's
full circle.
There's like a tear or I can't remember what it is.
Well, no, the idea
Class.
In Class is there's a space-time rift essentially.
Yeah.
And
then someone says like, "Oh, it's like the Hellmouth."
Yeah, there you go. I wouldn't have even caught that when I first watched Class.
I just remember that because I think it was in the trailers and things like that.
Let's get the nerds in.
Let's just reinforce what this is.
Yeah.
We've already touched on it, but Giles, I mean, he's basically the 90s Doctor that we never had, really, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's very much...
so good.
He's really good. Giles. I think Anthony... And it's interesting actually seeing how he progresses over the series into more...
He does change.
From when you watch that first episode, he's very much sort of bumbling, stuttering, kind of,
like the 11th Doctor, really.
Yeah. And he sort of transforms, sometimes literally, through over the course of the series. There's a niche Buffy reference.
That's a great episode.
So yeah, fantastic to see him. Xander and Willow are the kind of the companions, as we've kind of mentioned.
Yeah. They're not very, for context, they're like the not cool kids. They don't have any friends. Willow's never had a boyfriend before.
It's that classic thing though, like, here's these really good looking people, look how uncool they are. It's that 90s thing of like, you know.
There's Miles' phone going off.
See, this is an absolute knowing who classic, this one.
Buffy's mum is also a character in the show.
Buffy's mum, you know, a big part of that, who doesn't know about the Slayer stuff in that first
sort of like
series.
Jackie in the first couple episodes. We can make that.
We can make that connection. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's kind of like a sort of balancing, like Clara, kind of balancing work and the TARDIS, you know, sort of thing.
Xander's very similar to Mickey, I thought, as I was watching.
Yeah, the
Rose.
sort of hopeless,
bumbling ladies' man wannabe kind of thing.
Yeah, who sort of goes zero to hero a lot of the time and has that sort of thing of like, here's all these people I'm surrounded with. Yeah. He's the K9 of the series.
We're going to never shut up about K9.
We'll just always bring it back. Cliffhanger at the end of this one, which is interesting. Obviously, I
forgot this was a two-part story.
Yeah. So that's something that Russell doesn't decide to take over.
Well, I mean, there are two-part stories in Doctor Who, but I guess
not for the opener.
Not for the opener.
No, I think Russell must have gone, look, for this first one, I need to give a self-contained kind of
Series 1 of Buffy, if I remember correctly, is sort of almost all cliffhanger-y endings. Not as much of a cliffhanger as this one is, and but not like classic Who is.
There's like an element at the end of each one being danger's coming.
As opposed to Bad Wolf, which is just sort of mentioned in every episode in Doctor Who. The end of every episode sort of teases the next episode. I think, if I remember. I mean, it's been a while since I've watched.
And the Master is kind of has varying involvements throughout the
so like we
series.
We never saw what Bad Wolf was straight away. We just knew the name. Whereas in this episode, the Master is quite literally
here. He is
like he's here. You see him be resurrected by his minions in the first episode of Buffy, which is different.
It's
more than a tease.
It's a really solid start. I mean, I don't find myself because as I mentioned, when I started watching Buffy, I didn't find myself immediately swept along. Like, it took me, I got to get through series 1 and enjoy it, but not be like, this show, man.
Yeah.
It was like series 2 when it had found its feet and knew what it was doing.
I'm the opposite.
Really?
I thought Series 1 was better than Series 2. Maybe because it was quicker. Maybe because it was more succinct.
It is a 13-episode run as opposed to the 26
in America,
that it goes to.
I believe, not so much anymore because everything's prestige TV these days and 6-part stories and everything's streaming. But in America, I think you have, for a pilot series, I think you would start in January and you'd do half a series, essentially. Whereas a series that's already been commissioned for the full length, something that they know they want to make a couple series of, they'll start in September and they'll do 24 to 25 episodes.
I see.
So the first series of Buffy is like a half pilot testing if this works. Then they realise it does work, so they have the summer break, and then the series 2 starts in September. And it sort of runs like a school year.
It does feel like that kind of, here's a tester thing. Yeah. Let's see what works, because there's certainly ones in that first series that I was like, I'm not a fan of this tech robot episode, but then I love the one with the puppet. You know, it's like there's a real kind of,
and that's sort of very Doctor Who almost, especially modern Doctor Who, as in even the recent series, where the bad guys aren't just monsters; they are things from every day. Well, Autons are just shop window dummies.
Yeah, usually in Buffy, it's whatever teacher is introduced in that first scene is probably going to be involved in some nefarious
which is very small. I know I keep bringing it up, but that's very Smallville.
Right.
The teacher who's introduced in this, because that's also set in a school for the first couple series.
That's kind of Buffy. Let's segue into Rose as well. So just from the off now, watching this again, I was like, well, I'll watch Rose first because I know it so well.
I did it the other way around, actually.
Did you really? Yeah. Well, because I sort of thought I'm going to need to watch Buffy Ep 1 more recently because I'm not as familiar with that.
Know it as well.
But Rose, I was like, I'll just watch it. And I was like, I'll maybe make a few notes, but I'm going to remember it in my head. But I sat there watching it and I was like, I forgot how good this first episode is. Like, I mean, that's how you bring Doctor Who into the modern era. It's so Doctor Who, and yet it's so new. It's just perfect. Little things like it's got montages, it's got suggestions of sex in Doctor Who, like a man, as I mentioned, screaming in terror. He's gay and she's an alien. All of that stuff. It's just, here's Russell going, there you go, boom. This is modern telly, but it's still...
It also happens to be Doctor Who.
And it's paced so well. It's quick without being like net-breaking speed.
Mm-hmm.
The first scene with the Autons is so chilling. You know,
it's creepy.
Really creepy, even though now watching it back, I'm like, I can actually
see the zipper on the back of her neck.
I try and ignore that. Like Rose in that scene is one of those characters in the classic series that she would have been killed off, you know, and that's the kind of like typical, here's the monster, she's dead. It's got a cast to die for.
The music's great.
The Earth revolving speech. I mean, what a way to be like, here's your new Doctor.
Yeah.
There he is. And it's that kind of sense of legacy, yet without any references or continuity. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a sense that here's a big idea, you know, like Clive's pictures of the Doctor and the kind of the Time War hints and things like that.
Yeah.
It just gives us a sense of like there's a big scale without being like there's been all these other Doctors or there's been this.
When they start mentioning that the Nestine's planet has gone and the Doctor fought in the war, I sort of forgot all of that.
Yeah.
And that's the very beginning introduction of the Time War, which we don't really find out much more until Dalek, I think.
Yeah.
We don't know what that is and what that's all about until around then. And it is dropped in a way that you kind of go, what? What's he talking? As if you know Doctor Who from the past, you'll think, what on earth is he? He's not. He doesn't fight in wars. He's not. He's not a soldier. And then now that is the fabric of the whole show, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
And it is just dropped in really subtly and really quite. And if you're not thinking about it, you just go, oh, okay, he fought in a war. And it does sort of all just work, doesn't it?
Everything is so well considered and well thought out. It's like it's dated, of course it has. You know, this is 20 years ago now, so it's no longer modern Who. But you know, I mean, the picture quality. It's like I just keep thinking, I wish they'd shot it on film or just. It's that sort of mucky as hell look.
I don't know what they did in series 1, but they did a soft focus look where I think they quite literally put Vaseline on the lens. Back then, that was like the best way to smooth out an image to make it look less blocky and SD.
Yeah, to try and make it look a bit more polished.
Even then, they had such a small budget, I assume, that even the cameras they were using, sure, everything was SD back then, but the cameras they were using were just not top of the line because they just couldn't afford the proper ones.
Yeah.
And they were just trying to improve the image the best they could.
Yeah. I guess they were like digital, you know, it worked for George Lucas for the Star Wars films. We better shoot digital because that's the way to go.
And it's so strange because next year Torchwood shoots in HD.
Yeah, it was like right around the corner.
Yeah.
And then, but it takes Doctor Who.
Doctor Who doesn't do it till Planet of the Dead.
Exactly.
In 2009.
Yeah, it was doing all those tests, but it wasn't quite ready for it until then. So that kind of look, you know, the CGI, the fashion, searchwise.net. I mean, like, all of that stuff you look back on and you go...
Plastic Mickey.
Yeah,
Jeez.
yeah. But at the end of the day, that's all... You know, it doesn't matter. That's all superficial because you can both see why it works and it's still... From a story point of view, it still holds up. And I think that's because it knows how good it is. And I think that's actually one of the main things it takes from Buffy, which is its confidence. Like Buffy, that first episode, as we mentioned, it's bold. It's going, here you go, this is what we're doing. And in the same way, this is what Rose is doing here. It's going, this is Doctor Who for a whole new generation, and we know that this works, and we're going to take you along for the ride and prove why this works, you know?
Yeah.
I just think it's great. If you couldn't tell, I just think Rose is a fantastic episode.
It is.
Yeah.
It is good. I mean, I started with series 2 originally, but if I think of series 1, obviously Rose is the first episode, but there's stories in series 1 that I just don't think about very often. I have seen them all, obviously, multiple times, but there's ones that you don't really care for, ones you don't even like the parting of the ways. When I think of series 1, I don't think of the finale. I think of the start. You think of Rose. You think of the next,
grounded kind of.
Yeah, and you think of the next couple episodes where they introduce new things and Rose goes on her first couple of adventures. And that's what you think about when you think of series 1.
Yeah.
And it's because they're so good, especially Rose. The first episode is really good.
Yeah, and we sort of take that for granted as well. I mean, we're going to the BFI earlier this year and watching Dalek and Father's Day, and I was like, I forgot just how good those things are. You're just like, oh yeah, Dalek and Father's Day, they're great,
they're right,
obviously.
yeah.
But then you watch them and you're like, oh, they are really good.
Yeah.
Like,
and
it's so good.
This is going to sound so nerdy, but even the way they shoot it, obviously it's shot on SD and it doesn't look, amazing peak quality, but the framing, the blocking, everything like that, they're doing the most they possibly can. Because
that one shot of the two of them across the estate that just follows them.
I completely forgot that there was just I was watching it and I thought, oh, this is all one shot.
It's just, it's one of the longest one shots in the history of the show.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And I just suddenly realised sort of near the end, I thought, oh, this is all one shot. This is really impressive.
And you go back and hear about the making of it and you're probably like, that's probably because they didn't have much time to shoot anything.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say was, like, just how the TARDIS parks itself. Obviously, the whole idea for the first story is it's just hinting at, and you don't know, if you don't know what it is, you don't think about it, and it's meant to be camouflage, so it's camouflaged. And if you're not looking for it, you don't realise it's a shot of the TARDIS.
It's there.
When you look at, and when I was a kid, if I had my toy TARDIS, and if I was playing with it, I would park it sort of hidden in an alleyway or down the back of the sofa, and they'd come out and the TARDIS was hidden somewhere.
It's that thing of when it's in the nesting kind of factory bit.
Slots
in perfectly. But
what I'm thinking more is round the back of Henrik's.
Yes, yeah.
In the first shot, you see the TARDIS, and
or
then
the Earth revolving speech when it just happens to be in the background.
It's there in the back behind
a
a tree, and and every time I saw it in this episode, I thought, God, that is just such a nice shot.
It's the simplicity of it, I think,
as opposed to trying to make it bombastic and cinematic, which is what modern TV does.
And that's why I think this episode works, because it is so stripped back and yet so bold.
Yeah.
It's this weird dichotomy of being so out there and in your face, and yet it holds back in ways that it's like, we're going to keep this to ourselves. But then,
even in the shopping centre towards the end, the shots aren't like a movie. It's just shot sort of like an everyday scene that happens to have Autons attacking everyone in it, which I think is really good for TV, because this is TV,
Yeah. Which is what Russell's big strength is. He's a massive fan of TV and why this needs to be on telly, and I think that's its real strength.
And I'm sort of straying from the topic now, but modern TV isn't shot as TV. It's shot as movies.
It's got a filmic
on the
quality
TV.
To it now,
prestige TV.
Because people have these massive screens and these big subwoofers.
Obviously, everything's shot in 2x1 now, which I'm not a big fan of, to be completely honest. That's controversial. But if it's on TV, I think it should be TV. I don't think it should be shot like a movie.
Cinema.
Maybe that's controversial, but that's what Doctor Who does so well for the first couple. I'd say from series 1 through to 6. It's shot for TV.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's what I love about it. And Buffy does that as well, obviously, because that was so TV, because it was 1997, and there was no way on earth it was going to do anything else.
And they've tried to change that, like you said, to the 16:9.
It almost ruins it. It doesn't ruin it, but it almost does.
It's almost, don't try and make it anything
what it isn't.
Yeah. But yeah, to just overall.
Sorry, that was a massive tangent.
It is fantastic. It's great telly, and just to sort of bring it back to Buffy, at the heart of it, you've got our central character for this episode, and this was obviously one of the smartest things that Russell did, was let's frame the companion at the centre, which happens throughout the whole series, and kind of, to a certain like lesser and differing degrees throughout the whole of the revived series, the companion is the centerpiece and is our sort of reference point, which it always was, but here it's like, we're going to see this world through their eyes.
We're quite literally seeing this from their perspective.
We're going to get the culture shock that she's getting in those moments. And then it's like Buffy and Rose have that similarity of, then it's not just the whole strong woman thing, but it's the fact that, like I've mentioned already, these characters, they're flawed. They're real teenagers,
they don't want to be taking part in the events that are happening in front of them.
Rose is there kind of dreaming of a better life, and Buffy is dreaming of a normal life. It's the sort of total flip, and yet exactly the same thing. Both of them are kind of dreaming of that other thing, right down to Rose at the end of Parting of the Ways having that amazing speech of, he showed me the better way of living your life, and Buffy wants those moments of normality, despite all the craziness. And I mean, Rose even gets her own Buffy moment right at the end. I got the bronze, and she gets to swing and
that's very Buffy.
I mean, two amazing bits of telly that we've talked about there. Buffy and Doctor Who, just overall, is there a connection, or was this just a mad excuse to just chat about them for no reason?
I think it's a bit of both. There very clearly is an influence, which we've already gone into detail. The 45 minutes, the groundedness, the grown-upness almost. Obviously the strong female characters, which is, if you think about that, that's boggling that it took till 1997 to get something like that.
I know, yeah.
And obviously, I think Russell has outright said, I've based this on Buffy. Maybe not directly. Maybe not. That's not the direct quote. I couldn't
find a direct quote anywhere, but I'm sure he's talked about it. And I know that I read The Writer's Tale again recently because I picked it up. I was going through all my stuff and I was like, I'll just read a chapter of this just, for old time's sake. And I end up reading the whole 700-page thing again. And he does mention briefly in that, like he did a talk somewhere and he picked out an episode of Buffy and an episode of I, Claudius, and was like, look how these two things are doing the same thing and look how clever it is. So I know that obviously he's aware of all that stuff. But it very clearly has taken inspiration from it. Maybe not directly from Buffy, but from every other TV show that was happening Buffy, at the time. Yeah, what that was doing. Yeah,
everything was copying Buffy. Even Star Trek did it with Enterprise. Everyone copied Buffy, and at least the idea of an ongoing plot thread.
Yeah.
And also, yes, Buffy is just really good, and we're both enjoying it. So we wanted to talk about Buffy.
It's
so both of those things.
Both of those things are a valid point.
Like I said, I'm on series 5. I dropped off sort of midway through series 2, picked it up again, and I haven't stopped since. It is just really good telly.
You dropped off, you say midway through?
Yeah, midway through series 2, I just stopped watching for ages.
I had that exact same thing, because there's a weird point halfway through that series when I was like, this is getting too American for me. It was a bit too melodramatic. And then I watched another few episodes and I was like, I was totally hooked again.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what it was that made me stop watching it. But yeah, honestly, series 3 onwards is probably just amazing. It's just really good TV.
I almost have a theory that series 3, 4 and 5 of shows are like peak of that show. Like same with Red Dwarf. It's same with like Doctor Who series 3, 4 and 5 is my favourite series.
Before they get tired or bored and after they've figured out what the show is.
Yeah.
3, 4 and 5.
It's a good sweet spot, really. Yeah. So that's that, really. Thank you very much for listening. This, as we've said, it may well be the last time you hear us in at the very least of this format.
Yeah, with very good audio and in the same room.
We did panic about a tech issue after we recorded the last episode.
Yes.
Thankfully, that's not a thing.
No.
Thank God. Because I don't think I could chat for another hour and a half about K9 again.
Yeah, we had a nightmare that everything we recorded for K9 came out awful, but it's fine. As you probably know.
It's just the content.
The content's still awful.
So tech-wise, we're fine.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for listening. Thank you for being with us along for the ride. We will hear you or see you or whatever.
Yeah,
who knows?
If you've watched Buffy after listening to this, let us know.
Please do.
It's on Disney Plus if you've got it.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can find it in other places as well.
It's absolutely cracking. Let us know your memories and your favourite episodes and all sorts, and whether you agree with us, whether Buffy is a big sort of thing to thank for.
Maybe we're just
making
it all
now,
up.
or maybe we're seeing patterns and things that aren't there. Who knows?
That's what humans do.
So thank you very much for listening, everyone. And
he's not putting up with my jokes anymore.
I'm not even acknowledging them.
So it's 10 to 10.
I just want to go home and eat
he lives an hour away now. So
thank you very much for listening, everyone. We will play you out with some hardcore 90s guitars.
Are you doing the Buffy theme for this one?
Of course, I'm doing the Buffy theme.
I always skip the theme.
Well, not this time.
Skip. That's where I skip.
You'll be forced to listen to it. Thank you very much for listening, everyone, and we will see you again soon. Au revoir.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. You've been listening to Knowing Who, another Doctor Who podcast with me, Miles Taylor.
And me, Ben Davidson. Thank you to Sonny King for producing our theme tune.
And thank you to you for listening. You can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, plus YouTube on the Tailored Vision YouTube channel.
You can also follow us on Twitter at Knowing Who.
Catch you next time for more Knowing Who.